Alright guys, so right now I'm going to do a quick theory video. I don't know how long this is going to last because it could be very short or very long. So right now I'm going to do a theory video on X6 Spec Lacrosse heads. So I have 3 X6 heads with me. I have a Warrior Evo 4 X6, Maverik Spider 1, and I have a Brine Remix X6. Also, for further comparisons between the specifications of heads, I have a Brine Clutch and my Brine Edge X. So let's just get into what X6 means. So an X6 head, as you can see with my Evo 4 X6, so an X6 head means it has 6 inches across the top and then 3 inches or more in the throat. So further clarification one more time. So 6 inches across the top, between 6 and 6.5 inches across the top, so no less than 6 inches, and then 3 inches or more in the throat. For a high school spec head, we have 6.5 inches across the top or more, and then as long as the ball, there's no regulation due to the throat, as long as the ball can fit in the head without getting stuck in the sidewalls. So once again, 6.5 up top or more, and then no regulation due to the throat as long as the ball can fit in. And then for X6 spec, or excuse me, X or universal spec heads, so we have 6.5 inches up top or more, and then 3 inches in the throat or more. So let's just get into X6 heads. So I believe X6 heads came out for the most part in 2010 when the new rules came out. I believe one of the first ones was the S6 Professor. So X6, they normally are marketed towards offensive players. They are a lot skinnier at the top of the head, which means I'll go into the cons in a minute, but they're a lot skinnier across the top, and they're normally fairly narrow in the bottom. The Evo 4 X6 is kind of like a wider X6 head because it is with the Warrior Evo series. This head came out to replace the Evo X6, which is a very, very narrow head. So pros and cons of X6 heads. X6 heads, like I said before, they have a very, since it's only 6.5 up top, or between 6.5 or 6 inches and 6.5 up top between those margins, the area for the ball is a lot less, so it's a little bit harder to catch. And then your ground ball surface area is a little bit less also, compared to like this Brine Edge. Obviously there's a lot more space to pick up a ground ball, as you can see, and normally your throat is a little bit narrower, you can see with the Brine Edge. A few common X6 heads, like I said before: Evo 4 X6, the S6 Professor, Evo Pro X6, I'm probably going to forget a few, the Maverik Spider 1, the Remix X6, the Emperor X6, trying to think of some on the top of my head, Evo X6, Revo X6, can't think of too many right now. There aren't very many X6 heads. It's the smallest smallest set of heads out there behind high school and universal spec. So here's another one. This is my Maverik Spider 1. So it has a little bit more of a tighter face shape. The pinch is a little bit straighter and narrower, as you can see. Goes up pretty high with a flare point. So for the most part, X6 heads are a little bit harder to catch with, or they are harder to catch with, and also they're a little bit harder to get ground balls with. But I think since there is less, from my experience, since there's less surface area across the top, I think your passes and shots are a lot more accurate. And also, since for the most part they have fairly tight face shapes, they have very good ball retention. That's for sure. Even with this fairly wide but very flared Remix X6, a lot of people say this head is wide. It kind of is. As you can see, it has a lot of flare. The bottom rail, this rail right here, is where the ball retention is. So it's about, the flare point is about right there. So that's pretty good. And so you have a lot of surface area to catch. So playing with this head, it feels like you're catching with an X spec head, but you're really playing with an X6, so the ball retention is pretty good. Stringing X6 heads, I think they're pretty easy to string, and it's pretty easy to get channel on them, since there's less surface area or less area up here to stretch the diamonds. So that means when you string your mesh, it's going to naturally form a channel that's a little bit tighter. And also, since just about every single X6 head has a high flare point, even furthermore makes it easier to get a channel. But it is kind of easy to over channel, you just gotta be careful. Here's the channel on this one, it's pretty nice. And it's pretty nice on this remix with Lax Wax prototype. It's alright. But that's really it. I would really recommend X-Spec heads to face-off guys. They're pretty good for that. And offensive players, midfielders, and attackmen also. This Evo 4 X6 I've been using as my game stick, it's actually pretty stiff, and I play a lot of defense. I play both sides midfield, so it works very well as a wing midi, D midi, and an offensive midi. So I think it works very well for that. So this could be a good D midi option. Just be sure to remember that the service area is a little bit less forgiving when it comes to ground balls. So for the difference between playing with them, I believe you do get playing with the next side feels kind of similar to a high school spec because the throat is narrow, fairly narrow at least. The only thing is the high school specs normally have a little bit more surface area for ground balls and catching. So that's really it for X6 heads, excuse me. So once again, X6 heads are college legal only. They are between 6 and 6.5 inches up top and 3 inches or more in the throat. High school spec heads are legal for high school and youth only. They are 6.5 inches at the top or more. No regulation through the throat as long as the ball can fit in without getting stuck. And then for X-Spec or universal spec heads, they are 6.5 inches at top or more, and then 3 inches or more in the throat. That's it, guys. Till next time.